Good morning, everyone. Hope you can hear me. I don't know if you can see me that well, sorry. But my name's Alfonso Olachea. I'm currently a high school counselor at La Quinta. I appreciate you all listening, for the last few minutes. We've been playing a few tunes. I've studied jazz, growing up, and classical as well. And now I just kind of combine both. But I do appreciate everyone being here and everything you all do. I know this year has been a pretty incredible year. It's my first year at a high school, so it's been an amazing experience. But definitely appreciate everyone, putting in the effort and always going doing everything you can to support students. I know this year has been a very difficult year for supporting students or reaching them, but just want to encourage everyone to keep pushing forward and to always do your best and our students are there. They need us. They need us, and anything we can do to connect with them. So as you probably noticed, I connect with students through music sometimes. So yeah, fine. I think building rapport is probably like one of the basic foundations of being a counselor. But being able to use something that you can connect with, with students. So for instance, like music, or yeah, exactly. Music is universal. It's a universal language, right? So anything to connect with students, to just show them that you care. Um, show them that you're there for them, and yeah, funds of knowledge, right? Teaching them everything we can so that they can be successful both, after high school and in life. But I think my time is over here, but yeah, thank you again all for listening. Appreciate the comments, and I appreciate, thank you to RCOE, and I'll hand this over to, I don't know who, but yeah, thank you.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to day 2. And it's also the last day of the California College Affordability Summit. I first like to start off with just thanking Alfonso, not only for the motivational music, but for the motivational words, and also taking this time as an opportunity to thank you all for all the work that you do as students. We're super excited to go ahead and close out the California College Affordability Summit with some amazing sessions and speakers today. We're going to go through some quick housekeeping items, as well as ways to go ahead and engage with us throughout the day. So we're going to go ahead and take you into our wonderful hashtag that many of you have actually been using already. So let's go ahead and talk about that real quick. All right, so today, and many of you have actually already been doing this, so thank you for engaging with us. So post and celebrate on social media. We'll be retweeting, resharing things on Instagram and Twitter. Make sure to go ahead and use the hashtag California College Affordability hashtag, both on Twitter and Instagram, so that we can go ahead and continue to share out all the amazing experiences and moments that you all are going through here at the summit. Now let's go through some housekeeping items before I go ahead and introduce our next speaker. So many of you are already familiar, but if this is your first day attending the summit, we're using the Sched app. So you can personalize your agenda for seamless direction throughout the event and all the sessions that you'll be attending. And then all sessions are on a first come, first serve basis. So we do have a cap at 300 participants for each of those sessions. You're also going to be able to go ahead and see that there's a Zoom link for each respective breakout session. So if you're experiencing any sort of issues or technology issues, make sure to go ahead and let us know. You can actually go ahead and contact Jamina Cole at jlcole@rcoe.us. So make sure to go ahead and note that email down in case you have any issues. Many of folks have asked, are these sessions going to be recorded? They are, so they will be recorded and actually uploaded to the Sched platform through May 31st. And afterwards, they're going to go ahead and actually be uploaded to the California Student Aid Commission website. So we are definitely going to go ahead and record those, and you'll have access to those later on. And right at this point, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our Executive Director of the California Student Aid Commission, Marlene Garcia. And thank you all for your time. My name is Michael Lemus, and I'm the Program Outreach and Marketing Manager here at CSAC. And I'll go ahead and pass it on over to Marlene.
Good morning, everyone. And thank you, Michael. And thank you, Alfonso Olachea, for that wonderful opening warm-up act to the summit, which I think will signals that we're going to have a really inspiring day as we move through all the information and sessions. Yesterday was a wonderful program. We heard why AB 469, the new FAFSA California DREAM Act requirement, is a game changer moment for California and California students. And we're thrilled to be working with you as partners to maximize the opportunity as best as possible and to distinguish California as a leader in supporting their students, all students, to complete the FAFSA and the California DREAM Act application. We also recognized 24 high school communities yesterday at our Race to Submit ceremony. These high schools had the highest FAFSA and California DREAM Act application rates in the state. And they shared their trade secrets and their best practices, and it was really inspiring. And just to see the passion that goes into how they prepare for this type of full participation in completing the financial aid applications. So today we are going to continue conversations, providing tips and tricks for how to begin preparing for the new implementation of this requirement starting this October 1st. But first, we do have a slight change to our program. Our keynote speaker, Dr. Chow Vang, woke up sick this morning, so unfortunately isn't able to join us, but we have another amazing guest speaker to greet you this morning, and I'll introduce him in a moment. But I also wanted to mention that we also heard you loud and clear yesterday, and so we've carved out some time after Commissioner No speaks to answer your questions about the new law and what is required of you to implement it. We know you've had a lot of questions about the opt-out form and other parts of the requirement. Is this a high school requirement or is it not? We'll answer all those questions. And by the way, it is not a high school requirement, but we'll answer those questions. It'll be an opportunity just, to get answers from the experts. We have one of our expert trainers on hand to do that. But now let me introduce you to our special speaker, Commissioner Steve No. Commissioner No has been such an amazing member of the California Student Aid Commission. Anytime we need his support, he jumps right in, just like this morning. And he is just really, this is a passion project for him. And he just exemplifies the heart and soul that our commissioners share with respect to representing the students of California and making financial aid available. So Commissioner No has served on the California Student Aid Commission for 2 years and has distinguished himself as a leading voice on the commission. He's always bringing a perspective of students who are hardest to reach, who are the ones who have the least confidence about whether financial aid is real and available to them. In his day job, he is a partner at Lozano Smith LLP, where he focuses on education and public agency law. He is an active member of the community in San Francisco. He is a member of organizations such as the Asian American Bar Association of the Greater Bay Area. And in memory of his mother, he founded the FAM Fund at the Asian Women's Shelter to empower domestic violence survivors and their children by funding their educational goals. Steve is a first-generation college graduate. He earned his law degree from the University of California, Hastings College of Law, and a master's degree from Georgetown University and a Bachelor of Arts degree from UCLA. He's got it all. So Commissioner No has never forgotten where he comes from and dedicates his time supporting students and supporting educators like you apply for financial aid to really access their dream of a college education. So please join me in welcoming our Commissioner, Steve No. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you so much, Marlene. I think I was promised stage music. Coming out. Oh, well. Well, I am so honored to be here with all of you for this convening. It really is a privilege for me to speak to you very briefly about the importance of this work at which I know you live and work every day. I'm reminded of a gathering like this of Professor Cornel West's definition of justice, which is justice is what love looks like in public. And it's extraordinary to be part of a gathering which has a sole purpose of helping our students reach their dreams and uplifting them. So thank you so much for having me, and thank you for all the work that you do every day. I'd be remiss if I didn't shout out my counselor, Miss Montoya at Pacific High School in San Bernardino, California, for her role in that bio that Marlene just read. But really, I think that AB 469 too is what justice means, is what love looks like in public. It's helping students overcome structural and really psychological barriers to accessing financial aid. And the structural barriers aren't sometimes what we think. You know, when I was in high school, I had a teacher who I loved to death, who said to me once that he thought that I was going to be fine with college, and I was going to be able to access all the programs, and I was going to do well in higher ed because of my background, my being Asian American. And I don't think he knew that my father and mother were refugees. I don't think he knew that we were living on welfare and in public housing, and that there were so many language barriers that our family faced to access basic government programs. And that's what AB 469 really helps us focus on, is helping us overcome structural barriers that we may not assume exists or we may not encounter on a regular basis. But fortunately, because of Miss Montoya, she said, "Hey, why don't you apply for financial aid using this thing called FAFSA, and let me help you out. Let me walk through this process with you, because I think you can do it. You can apply for financial aid. You're going to go to college. Let's make sure you get all the financial aid available." And that happened, and it was so useful, so inspiring to have someone say, "Let me help you fill out this document, this form which is really a way to access these programs. And I think we take it for granted sometimes. I know all of you don't, but we take it for granted sometimes whether and how these programs can be accessible to us. And I think for psychological barriers, I think we often assume too that students want or know that they can get financial aid. And for me, you know, growing up, it was really hard to understand that money was available when I was a recipient of these government programs. It was a very difficult process to apply for public housing, to apply for AFDC. At the time, it's called AFDC. Psychologically, it was also, there was a barrier in just getting in line to pay for food, because at that time they had, paper money, and you were always ashamed. I was ashamed to have to pay for food, to get in line, to use different money to access basic needs like groceries. So I think we often it can be easy for us sometimes to forget that there are those psychological barriers as well that hinder, I think, some students' desire and access or interest or motivation to get programs that are there for them. And that's really what you all are here for. And that's what AB 469 does. And I think a lot of this work is obviously is justice work, but it's the day-to-day work of reaching out to students, seeing and meeting them where they are, and giving them a chance to live up to their full potential, which I know you all do every day. As an attorney, I have to say that looking at a law like this, we have so many laws that tell you what you can't do, that say that you'll be punished for doing this. And I don't think we have enough laws that say go do this. Let's lift you up. And AB 469 does that. It does that for so many. It will do that for so many students. And I know that you will play a pivotal role in advancing that cause and that work. And I will end my brief remarks by thanking you again for all the work that you do for students, for kids like me throughout the state. It is inspiring, and I'm truly, truly grateful for your dedication and commitment.
Thank you so much, Commissioner No. What beautiful words, inspiring and perfect to start the day of educators up and down the state, thinking about how they are going to implement the new requirement and really reach students like yourselves. And thank you for sharing your amazing story. And you represent why our commission is so amazing and the vision it has for lifting all boats and not assume anyone isn't interested or eligible for financial aid. So thank you so much for your dedication and the work you do day in and day out to help students.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful day. So now, after those really inspiring remarks, we're going to turn to a little more of a brass tacks discussion. I'd like to introduce Jon Waldrep. Many of you already know him. He's a fixture at CSAC and goes up and down the state working with counselors and educators, giving you all the latest and greatest about FAFSA and California DREAM Act changes. So now he's going to walk through some of the changes involved with this requirement and then be open to any questions. Thank you so much, Jon, for joining us this morning.
I'm a fixture. That means I'm old, right? That's what, all right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for day 2. We're happy to see you here. I just wanted to say, when Alfonso was playing the music, was I the only one that was typing "free bird"? Free. No, I guess you didn't get that message. So we're going to jump in and just talk really briefly about what AB 469 requires. You guys have been hearing a lot about this, so I don't want to belabor the point. But really, this is legislation. I know it's a little distracting because I'm looking off to a different monitor here. But this is basically information Just a really quick overview about this legislation. So this requirement basically says, hey, seniors in high school are required to complete a financial aid application, and schools and LEAs are required to track that information. Now, this is a little bit different than other states. There are some states that say as a requirement of high school graduation, you need to complete this application. This doesn't have, that built into it. And I think this is legislation that eventually is going to evolve into what it's going to be. But basically, that's what this does. So I have just a few slides in a very short time. So we're gonna jump to the next one. One of the reasons that I think we need this legislation is that we've seen some, difficult trends when it comes to people filling out applications over the last couple of years. Obviously, some of that is COVID related, but we've certainly seen, fewer applications, especially for our returning students. I think when we look at new students, the numbers are actually pretty comparable over the last couple of years. But when we look at filers overall, we're obviously seeing a disturbing trend. And for me, this legislation kind of gives us the opportunity to level set, right? The districts and the schools who are doing great, they're going to continue to do great. But other schools and districts might say, okay, this is our opportunity to really think outside the box. What can we do to get these numbers up? There's going to be a lot of transparency across the state in terms of, who's doing what. And, the goal is not to shame anybody into having better numbers. But, I think the goal, like Marlene said, the tide lifts all boats up, and that's what we want to do. I think John F. Kennedy said that a long time ago. So the numbers are not great. This legislation will help. It gives us the opportunity to level set a little bit in the state of California. So here's some really interesting things that have happened recently. What we're noticing is the trend is for the students with the lower incomes, especially, are the ones who are having the most challenges. So when we look at the EFCs for students who are filing the FAFSA or the California Dream Act, we notice that the ones who are impacted the most and the ones who are not doing the application are the students who, in fact, have low EFCs, so the expected family contribution. And that means basically the students with the least amount of money are the ones who are struggling the most to complete applications. As we go through and we look at the other numbers, we see that, it gets better. And when we get up to the really high EFCs, we know that that's typically students who are could be at a UC, but a lot of times those are graduate students, right? Who are continuing their education after a 4-year degree program. So it's a troubling trend, and we hope that this legislation, like I said, will help us sort of refocus our energy in ensuring that students fill out applications. Okay, so why do we need this? We've heard this a lot. This is no surprise to you guys. Students don't complete applications for a number of reasons. They think it's too confusing, it's too difficult. They think that they're not college material. They think that even if they fill out a financial aid application, they're still not going to be able to afford college because college is so expensive. They're worried about creating debt. We've heard school-related debt has been a huge issue for a number of years, and it's always in the news. The amount of debt that's accumulated sometimes over the course of 4 years or more of college. So they're afraid that they're going to, sort of fall into that. Or it's not safe to share personal information. I think this is particularly true for our DREAM Act application filers. There's some resistance on the part of the family or the student to share information about their immigration status. And clearly, if they're filling out a CADA, that means that they're an undocumented student. So we get some resistance that way as well. All right. And what's the solution? The solution is all hands on deck. So, and again, we know that there are so many schools and so many districts that are doing a fantastic job. We've heard from some of those. Chair Cifuentes, has called repeatedly on some of these fantastic districts throughout the state of California to share their secrets and talk about what they're doing. And, I feel like most districts are really heavily invested in this. So, but we don't want to make it easy for students to opt out. And we don't want that to be sort of the de facto way that we deal with students who decide that they don't want to apply. right? If you don't want to play, that's fine, but you have to do this opt-out form. We want to make that opt-out form the last resort. We want students to complete an application. I think it's key that you work with us at CSAC. The California Student Aid Commission is here to partner with you in so many different ways by offering you resources, by offering you materials. You know, I'm part of the outreach and training group, and I would love to come to your district and talk to students on your financial aid night or your cash for college or whatever. So we're here to work with you and to give you the tools and the resources and, you know, and hopefully the specialists that you need to help you in this effort. And then also community collaboration, right? So we know that we need to expand who we're working with and work with college-bound readiness organizations, work with Dreamer Resource Centers in your area, work with all the different organizations that provide assistance to students, work with your local politicians, your state senators, your assembly people. Everyone has a vested interest in this, and I think if we cast the wider net, then that will be helpful. Okay, so the other part of the equation is, you know, we're working very heavily with the California Department of Education. We anticipate they're going to provide us more updated information on a more regular basis, because that's how we can track where we're at. So this is a part of the requirement for this bill, is that, you know, CSAC provides you information, and that, you know, a lot of that we're getting from the CDE, and we want to make sure that we're developing best practices as well as forms that you can use, like the opt-out form that I'm going to show you right now. All right, so this is just a mock-up of the, it's not the official form, but this kind of gives you an idea of the form that we're using. Now, my understanding is that you're going to be able to use this form or create a similar form. I think we're still waiting to get the A-OK on that, because it's still a work in progress. But, you know, CSAC will develop and make available an opt-out form that you can use in your schools and at the district level. And like I said, I believe that schools, it's just like the GPA form, right? So we have a template, you can use that template, or you can use something similar as long as the language is the same. All right, finally, this is really important. You know, this bill addresses two different groups, those who fill out the FAFSA and those who fill out the DREAM Act application. And I think it's incredibly important that the language when we're talking to students is inclusive, and we don't talk about FAFSA night and it's FAFSA time and it's, you know, the FAFSA deadline. Obviously, FAFSA is a huge important application, but in this state we have two. We need to recognize that. And so what I'm hoping is that if you say FAFSA, the very next words out of your mouth are the California DREAM Act application, right? We don't want to stigmatize that application. We want to make sure that students understand, hey, we have two applications in this state. And obviously the legislation is for all financial aid applications. So FAFSA and the California DREAM Act as well. We want to make sure that we're getting that message across. I did it. Man, finally, I'm going to get that bonus I've been asking for. Okay, that's all I have for you guys today. I appreciate it. I know that was super quick. We just wanted to kind of throw that out there and give you some basic information. So thank you guys for hanging out with me for a minute.
Okay, John, we have a few questions in the chat. I don't know if you want to be able to answer. I know you mentioned the opt-out template will be released.
Yes, we are working on, you know, I showed you kind of a mock-up of what we have. That's not the official version. There will be an official version and it will be released. And hopefully if you're signed up to our listserv, if you're getting emails from the commission, as soon as that becomes available, I'm sure that we will send out a communication and say, hey, here it is, checks in the mail. No, here's the opt-out form.
If I can add to that also, we are going through the regulatory process, and right now it's still under the final review. So we're very close to finalizing it. And then, yes, as you said, John, we will be sending that out to everyone. It'll be posted online. It'll be readily available, and you'll get it sometime this summer. So we hope to have that in your inbox very soon. Okay. I see a question. How will schools be held accountable to the new law?
This legislation is, an unfunded mandate, meaning that there's, you're not going to get a knock on the door at midnight from the FAFSA police saying, hey, that's not how it's going to work. So what we're doing is, this is just the opportunity to encourage schools and districts to ensure that their students are filling out a financial aid application. So really the accountability is on all of us, I think, to ensure that we're working together, just to lift those numbers up. But it's an unfunded mandate.
And also to add, this requirement is really on the local education agencies to verify that all your students have completed the FAFSA. And there isn't any built-in enforcement other than just knowing that, tapping all of your desire to see your students do as best possible and creating a statewide culture that this is the norm and that more and more schools will find ways to make this the norm. Some, obviously, lots of schools have already made this the norm, but we're hoping that the entire state of California makes this the norm, that all students who graduate from high school just automatically go to complete their FAFSAs or their California Dream Acts.
Okay.
Any other questions?
We do. I think we're almost at time, so maybe we'll just take two questions. One is, does this require us to have them all submitted before the March 2nd priority deadline or end of school year?
So obviously the applications need to be submitted by the deadline, but what I would say is we really need to focus on the October 1st date and not the March 2nd date. If we focus on October 1st, when you can fill out the application
Okay,
initially.
I'm not a host in your meeting.
And we push the language to that. That's going to be beneficial to everyone if we start ramping up early in the process. But yeah, we need to have applications done by March 2nd.
Okay, and then another question. This question for you, and about what month do CSAC workshops start? Seems it's not until January, February. John, this is your question. And then I know we're gonna have to wrap up, but we're gonna keep the questions coming in the other session.
Okay, so our Cash for College workshops will really ramp up, beginning when the application period opens, so October 1st. And those will run, I don't want to say year round, but they're practically year round. So with the new legislation around September 2nd deadlines for some programs. What was previously the high school counselor workshops, and they're now called the statewide financial aid workshops, those will start in August, and we're going to be in person again. So if you're interested in those, you can contact me if you're interested in hosting one of those. I would love to talk to you. And those will begin sort of mid-August.
Thank you so much, John. Everyone, I'm sure was really benefited from your very quick presentation, chock full of great information, but this is going to be an ongoing dialogue that we want to have with all of you. Your success is the student's success, is California's success. And John and the whole team, we have an entire training team that is available and looking forward to working with you. We also have our marketing and outreach team that has a variety of tools that will be made available. Our job is to make your job as easy as possible. So consider us your partners. And I think now we're going to break and transition. We start our next breakout sessions. So thank you so much for joining us this morning. And you're all free now to join your next breakout session, the one you've selected. And then we'll see you at the end of the summit. Thank you all.
Thanks, guys.